at productivity of, like these are all measures by which we can bring out a product, I mean, which we can see whether the processes which we are adopting is efficient. So it can be anything. For example, in a supply chain, the time, like it takes to do the ordering operation. Suppose I give you one thing. Everything is online. Everything is available there. Okay. But then when it comes to it, I say sign all the forms, get it notarized. Then you come back to my office. I will send you to the next person. See, this is what happens. Especially, I don't know if you have taken educational loan. Initial thing is very easy, right? Getting in once you get into the bank, then they'll tell, bring me these documents, bring me that documents, right? Bring it in physical format, bring it in chemical format. I don't know, anything they can do. So this is what we call as the thing which we are, I mean, like, which reduces the productivity. So suppose you are in the site and then you are supposed to place an order and then there are 20 steps, right? It reduces the productivity of the individual simply because the amount of time which was invested in generating a purchase order, for example, was that bad. Okay. So this is what I am going to define quality as. Last time we talked about quality. Um, Nitin Sari, Nitin Skaria, Nitin Skaria, are you around,
Yes,
please?
sir.
Yes, Nitin. Nitin, what was the example we gave about quality?
Example.
Quality is like the dash of a car.
A break.
Ah, thank you. So what is the need? What does the brake help you to do?
It gave confidence to stop the car in an accelerate speed, high speed.
No, it helps you go faster. Good
Yes,
brakes help you to go faster.
fast
Okay.
confidence to go.
Yeah, I don't know how many of you have worked with disc brakes. I love the Pulsar 180. That was my first bike. And after that, I made sure that I have a disc brake in my vehicle. Okay. So it helps you to go just faster than the car before you or the bike before you. Okay. You're having the confidence to stop, right? So apply this in your supply chain for your organization, right? You don't want to go so fast when compared to other companies. You just want to go faster than the company ahead of you, right? So once you go and you see another company ahead of you, go faster than that. So this is how you can probably grow your company. Okay. So now whenever we are talking about quality, there are a few things which I'd like to bring in over here for you, right? So what is the performance of a system? It can be a supply chain system. You can extend this to uh, any of the things where quality is measured. So as of now, for example, I'm only using for supply chain. So how much efficient is your supply chain for bringing, say, raw materials in a trailer truck? What was the cost I put in? So if you see in India especially, uh, all the tippers, all the dump trucks will have about 1 or 1.5 feet of the side wall raised. In fact, if you come to Vellore, there is a place called Cement Godown, very close to VIT. There's a small workshop where all these trailers, flatbeds, tipper trucks are brought in and they increase the sidewall height. So that means what happens, instead of taking, say, 10 bags of 10 bags tall or 12 bags tall of cement, it can take 16 bag tall height of cement bags. If it is a tipper truck, a given measure, I mean, like, volume is prescribed by the manufacturer. The owner brings it to this guy and increases the height. So the amount of material transported becomes more. Of course, it's not a very right thing to do, but then you can immediately make out that the performance of the system of the supply chain, okay, instead of making 100 tons, it is doing 120 tons for the given cycle time. So this is a way by which people are artificially enhancing the performance of a system. Like it's like giving steroids in the Olympic Games. Okay, so this measure is something which is very key to quality. Next, what are the features which are available? So, for example, you can just have a truck. or you can add a GPS to it to track it. You can give the site a real-time feel of the movement. So this is probably an example of a of the features which you include into your supply chain. Other thing is very important, reliability. Suppose I make and place an order, will I get it on time? Okay. So many times, I'll invite guests home, and then we'd have ordered on Swiggy, or, ask the hotel to deliver. So we will tell, please deliver at 12 o'clock, with the hope that he'll deliver at 12:15 or 12:30. So when it comes to 12:30, what happens? We start to get alarmed, right? Three families have come, small children are there, our own family members are hungry. I am also hungry. What is going to happen? So this is an example of what happens when there's not reliability, especially in a construction site when we work with multi players. So for example, the shuttering person should be in time. Not only the shuttering person, the shuttering release agent also has to be made available to the site in time. So otherwise, if suppose you're not having this, you are not going to have the complete assembly required for the preparation for the next operation, which is concreting. Okay, so this is what we call as reliability. So if you are going to start a process, if you are placing an order, will it be there on the time? This is reliability. Another very important thing is conformance. What does this mean? See, for example, whenever we give a tender document, we give a lot of conditions along with it. For example, I'm just using the same thing, shuttering. Shuttering should not bulge. Shuttering should be amply supported with the props, so on and so forth. So how much is it conforming to the standard? Or if you're ordering cement as part of your supply chain, does it meet the requirement which the customer has put in? So again, if it doesn't match, you as a storekeeper should return the entire batch to the person who brought it, who delivered it, and then bring another batch. Now this hits the point about reliability, right? Again, if you are going to bring in a project, many of the times durability is a question which the customer is very much bothered about. See, actually, most of these things are related to the customer's point of view. So suppose one of the things we are looking at is a curved roof. Okay, for one of the projects we are consulting on. So when we are looking at curved roof, we need to have the curved roof match a lot of things. Like for example, the color should be perfect because the customer is looking more at the color. Does it look nice? Will it look like a shed and a go down? I don't want it to look like a shed or a go down. So this means that we are trying to look at some of the quality measures which he's looking at, and also they are looking at durability. If I'm going to put, say, galvanum sheet or a sandwich panel, is this going to be lasting the time over which I am looking forward to? Again, serviceability. Suppose there is a small problem, a small leak has developed. Will I be able to replace the parts effectively? See, for example, one of the things we wanted was that roof extractor. On the roof of industrial roofs, you'll see a small turbine running. It doesn't require power. It just works based on the convection flow of air. So if I'm fitting that, how much time will it be able to go without having any requirement of maintenance? So this is another concern which all the people who are going to buy something from you are going to have. The other thing is aesthetics. It looks nice or not. Again, is it a safe product? What are the safety issues which are likely to be associated with it? So I mean, like, is the roof going to fall down or something else bad is going to happen? If it is paint, does the paint have harmful substances? If I inhale, it is going to cause me health issues over the period, and so on and so forth. And this is what we call as, some of the very important things which we talk. So when you're looking at a supply chain, in this particular aspect, the customer is the boss, and you need to look at the customer's point of view. So is the features going to be exceeding what I want? So for example, you apply a paint, it is not only giving color, it is also giving, say, this waterproof feature. So there are now elastomeric paints which can stretch across cracks in walls. So they form a nice protection over the cracks. So this kind of a feature is desirable. Suppose I use a particular paint, you'll find that they'll advertise it as it is bacteria resistant. So one more extra feature. Reliability, it's not going to flake and fall over time. It conforms to standards. Durability over 5 or 6 monsoons, it's going to be safe. that is 6 years, the paint is going to retain its structural integrity. No, it's not going to look bad or anything. And aesthetics, yeah, you get what aesthetics is. So sometimes, there are other perspectives. Like, for example, if suppose you speak with the people, you'll at least get a thing. Is Coromandel cement better than Ramco cement? When they ask you, then immediately you have to be careful. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Coromandel cement is good, because the perspective of the person buying the product is, I want this particular brand. You may like Madras cement because Dhoni is there, right? But sometimes we have to play it a little low. So this is some of the things which you're talking about, the quality aspects of your product, which is part of your supply chain. And if you have any questions, please ask. Because if you don't ask, maybe I may ask the question. Anybody can ask a question. Otherwise, Red Velvet, someone of you, one of you is going to get a question. Right. I know this is a little simple. So let us move on. So whenever we are looking at a supply chain, so first thing is, what is the expectation of quality from a supply chain? Okay, that is something which I will be speaking about. I mean, which we just discussed. So we got a few points, and I sincerely hope, like I'm seeing quite a few of you taking down notes. I'm very happy to see that. And I put these notes ahead so that I don't write and you also don't need to write at the same time. Okay, sometimes, like last class, I felt a little bad to add in that column. So, I mean, this is something which I hope it will avoid such things. And also, please don't expect PowerPoints. This is your PowerPoint, and whatever you want, you are going to generate. Okay, how much you want. It's again like a buffet. Huh? You go to the hotel, you want biryani. How much biryani you want, you can take. It's entirely in your hands again. Now, coming back here, see, one of the very important things is time and timelines of a supply chain. So if you see Amazon and other people, when I go to place an order, I look at the timelines of when I get it. Many times, I don't mind paying 100 or 200 rupees more if it is going to arrive the next day, right? You are on, if I'm a Prime member, many times many of the things are delivery is free, but then I pay a premium for that material. So I buy a book. If I buy the book from vendor A, it comes in 3 days. It may be 50 rupees cheaper. If I buy from vendor B, it may be that it will be 50 rupees costly than vendor A, but I'm going to get it the very next day. So sometimes I even prefer that. This is a very important thing in supply chain. So it means that when you are looking as a person placing the order, maybe a storekeeper or somebody, you are going to look at the time and timelines. What is the problem? Suppose after you are going to look at a supplier who's not very reliable and is saying a very long lead time is there. So you are forced to make sure that you place your order well in time so that work doesn't get affected. So performance of a supply chain or the quality of a supply chain is also going to be measured by the time and timelines by which you're able to supply a product. Indirectly, there's also the chance that you, as a part of the value addition in the supply chain, lose maybe the goodwill of the people simply because your timelines are shoddy, and that may not be your fault. You're depending on somebody else, so you need to ensure to, I mean, what is perceived as quality of your supply chain is the time and timelines. Again, another very important thing is completeness. So suppose I bought a what do you call this, CPU. So they gave the CPU, they didn't give the power cord. No, the power cord is not a very common feature, right? So suppose you get a mobile phone nowadays, they don't give many times the charger or charging cable. So just imagine if you are going to see the ready mix, I mean, no, pre-mixed plaster and mortar, this jointing agent, block jointing agent, we call that. So they give you one, especially if it's the Aerocon blocks, they give you something that looks like a comb. You just spread the mortar with that tool. That means you'll get a perfect 1 mm joint which you are looking at. So suppose we give you some things, but don't give you the rest of the parts which are required for it. So this means the quality of the supply chain is faulty. The quality of the supply chain should be improved. So whatever is the item which is required for installing something, it should be complete. Many times you'll find that people deliver tube lights, but see, for example, now LED tube lights have come in very much. So you'll find that there are two clips and two screws, and probably there's a plastic plug which you can this one use. So when you buy the tube light, you'll find that everything is there except that clip. So you have the tube light, but you're not having a complete ready to fit system, right? So this is an example of lack of completeness in a supply. You may buy paint and you might need a special applicator. If the applicator is missing, it is not complete. Okay. See, I saw one product, Bosch high speed, high pressure cleaning kit. So they don't give certain nozzles. These nozzles you have to buy extra. So these kind of things make your supply chain incomplete, right? So another very important thing is if your storekeeper is a very rude person, people will not want to go to him. Okay, so all of these people you'll come to experience, especially the site accountant. Okay, site accountant is the most hated person, and I think the companies also keep them like that. They don't pay them enough money. So when they look, array, all the people are earning more than me. Why should I make them happier? That is one attitude with which they'll be sitting there. Okay, I will make sure that I make their life as miserable as possible. The boss likes it. Maybe here Ajit Prasanna will like a person like that because he is making sure that money is not released easily out of his company's pocket. Okay, but if suppose that is courtesy is not there, people will not what you call as talk with them, and this person may not understand what is required, and then there is a problem. So this is a very important thing in a supply chain. How many times I don't know, like if I hear there is a nice hotel called Darling Barbecue. 5 times I went. 5 times they told me, sir, there's no place. Okay, and that is because usually 1 or 2 times if they say no, I don't go. But my family members wanted to go to that hotel. It looks nice, right? So because of that, I go. I am not feeling I am treated courteously, right? So this is what happens even when you go for your supply chain. If you are going to be part of the value chain, you will need to ensure that there is courtesy in the whole thing. Okay. Now moving on, we have to have a consistent product. So suppose I'm buying Aerocon blocks from you. Aerocon blocks should be matching the specification every time. Okay. Fortunately, these autoclaved blocks do match it. Had it been brickwork, half the bricks are broken, half the bricks are crumbling, half the bricks don't have good quality. When they arrange the bricks, they arrange only on the outside the nice bricks. All the bricks on the inside are bad. Okay, so this kind of thing means that there is no consistency in the supply chain. Consistency can also be timeliness in terms of completeness and any of the other things. Okay, the other important thing is accessibility. Okay, what is this accessibility of the supply chain? So whenever you are going to look at supply chain, it should be accessible to all the people who are present there. Okay, so for example, if you are going to look at if you're going to look at a product, you should be able to get it easily from that supply chain process. So you are going to buy, say, for example, uh, a particular brand of taps and fittings. You should be able to get it not only now, at a later date also easily. I think I told you guys about the time when we goofed up on the floor tiling. So we got the specific tiles. Wastage was much more than what was expected, and we also tried to cut corners. And then we didn't get 5 tiles, exactly 5 tiles. Okay, so this kind of thing meant I couldn't go back to the vendor and get that 5 tiles alone, which I wanted. So is it easily accessible? This is one question which, like you should be always having in your mind. Nowadays, if you see, most of the switches are modular switches. So if suppose you see the switches of one type and a company themselves have variation in them. So when I replace one switch in the gang box, immediately that is looking awkward, right? So this is an example of what happens when accessibility to a particular material is there. Again, it should be very convenient to get it. So it should not be that, you have to get a lot of permissions and a lot of permits before the whole thing is made available. So these are some of the things which I wish to put across to you. Now, lastly, it should be an accurate thing of what you have wanted. See, for example, here, we told that the customer is looking for conformance. Okay. So this has to make sure that we are having the accuracy of what is expected or accuracy to the level what we are looking at. And what is responsiveness? Suppose somebody has a problem, are you able to solve it immediately? So these are some of the things about responsiveness. Okay. Now I'm going to go for what is called as quality management system. And today's homework is trace the evolution of quality management systems. Okay. There are quality management systems. I want you to trace the quality management evolution of quality management systems. Okay. Now, these are some of the tools we use to tell what we require from a quality management system. Okay. So, for example, we can make a process flowchart. Okay, you can make a process flowchart. You can have it as a graph. You can have it as any format you like. Guys, just 1 minute. My tablet has got disconnected. I mean, it's got mapped to the wrong screen. Oh yeah, monitor 2. Okay. Right. Okay. Now coming back here, so you can have a flow chart which says place order. Okay. So this is the flow chart for placing order. Check stock level. Okay. When is it required? How much quantity is to be consumed? How much is to be required? So when you are going to answer, you can say that all of this is done. Then you send it to the section head, maybe your boss. Okay, section head passes it for approvals. So they can tell if suppose the value is less than say 50 lakhs or 50,000 rupees, you can directly place the order. If it is between 50,000 and say 5 lakhs, it has to go through one level of approval. If it is more than 10 lakhs, it has to get the MD's approval. So this step is put over here, and then we go for the next one. Okay, then we go for the next one, and you'll be getting the process in place. So this is an example of how you can get a process flowchart. Okay, so most of you should be familiar with the flowchart symbols and other things. Okay, so if you are not familiar, you can always have a look at that and understand what is this flowchart and flowchart symbols. Today we are not too particular about the flowchart symbols. Now we will do a little bit of a cause effect diagram. So if you are going to say there's a cause if something is empty. Okay, so then you do place order. So if level has reached so much, then do something else. So this is another tool for managing the quality of your system. So this is called a fishbone diagram. Okay, and you can generate such a diagram for any of the processes which you are doing. So for example, we asked you to develop a strategy for your company. This developing a process flow chart. It's a strategy to get your operations streamlined. Cost effect diagram. It is another process which you are going to use to streamline the operation. So whenever anybody sees this, they'll immediately know in my organization, if I want to place order, these are the things which I have to do. If certain causes are there, these are the likely effects and we are expected to take care of the same, right? Moving on, we have something called checklists. This is probably the most important thing because checklists exist for all the operations. So is a condition met? Okay. Yes. Or quality or test statements available, right? Then you can keep on identifying each and everything which you are looking at and prepare a checklist. Checklist is one of the very important tools in quality management system. And this is very amenable for automation. So today, most of the employees have a smartphone, right? So when all of you go and enter into the into an organization, the minimum thing which you have is a smartphone. See, for example, there is a concept called BYOD. Okay. Have you heard of BYOD? Amita Sasidharan. Amita Sasidharan, have you heard this term BYOD? Don't worry, it's a yes or no question. No penalty. Is the person there? Amita is not in the class. I'm sorry. Okay. What about Riaz Ahmed?
Yes, sir.
Yes. What is this BYOD?
No, sir. I didn't identify. Nothing.
Okay. Suppose you are smart, you would have immediately looked at the abbreviation. Bring your own device. Okay. Again, Ajit Prasanna, what happened to Amita Sasidharan here? Your organization member is missing.
I don't know, sir. I didn't ask her.
Why? You are the boss here. Take a little concern on your people under you. Okay. Now, bring your own device is something very common. What are the requirements to be a Swiggy executive? Mega, yes. I'm sure everybody knows what Swiggy is. I thought I heard her in class. She's there,
I'm
right?
sorry, I couldn't
Yes.
hear you.
What are the requirements of a Swiggy executive before they join the job?
He should make sure that he's punctual in his job.
Alright, before you join the company, what are the things he has to have? What are the qualifications? Akash, okay, Akash is there. Akash,
Bike, sir.
yes, very good. Bike is required. Then,
Hello?
yes,
Sir, I am Anush.
yes. Bike is required. What is the next requirement for a Swiggy executive?
Should have a device that smartphone.
Phone.
You should have a smartphone. Okay, and then they should have 10,000 rupees. They have to give the company 10,000 rupees. They'll give them a jacket, a bag, and certain other things. Access to the site. So this is how Swiggy gets its executives. Later on, politeness, other things come in. They monitor how fast the executive goes. Okay, so if the executive is trying to get more deliveries by going at 80 kilometers per hour, immediately Swiggy will warn that guy, because traffic police felt Swiggy executives were very rash. So instead of delivering 10 deliveries in their 8-hour shift, they were trying to make 12 or 15 deliveries simply by overspeeding. So now what has happened? They are tracked like animals. If your vehicle goes more than 60 kilometers per hour, beep, alarm goes. If you try to turn off your mobile phone, they know from point A to point B, it's so many kilometers. This guy has gone very quickly, black mark. So all of these things may, this, if you see today, the Swiggy executives go only at 40 kilometers per hour speed, right? Or even slower than that, right? So this is what we call as the way the company, everything is going. So bring your own device is something which is going to happen. And also you can see the strategy of how the supply chain is maintained by Swiggy, speed of the person, whether the person is courteous or not. How is the courtesy of a employee measured in Swiggy? Anybody can answer this. Is the courtesy of a Swiggy employee or a Amazon delivery boy measured?
Sir, feedback from the customer.
Excellent. Feedback from the customer. Was he polite? Did he do social distancing? Okay. And all of those things. Again, suppose a executive is getting more tips than others, it means that people are happy with the services. So that is another way by which they measure the politeness of a executive. Okay. So these are all things which you can take as lessons from the from these people. And coming back here, we are talking about bring your own device. So everybody in today's date will have a smartphone at least. Minimum smartphone is there. So you can very easily put in the check sheet. Like for example, what is the temperature of the day? Was the aggregate moistened? Was the formwork correctly in place before concreting started? Right. So all of these things you can put it as checklists. Okay. Now moving on, I'm going to the Pareto analysis. Okay. I'm not going into the history of Pareto analysis, but when we see a product, most of the defects are due to very small number of elements. Okay. So if you are going to remove those elements, it can be people, it can be a product, it can be anything in the process. You will find that the overall efficiency increases. So they will usually make a graph, almost like a histogram, identifying which are the items which are causing the most trouble. Many times you'll find that the graph goes like this. Okay, it is it is almost flat here, very sharp. So if I'm going to remove this portion of the problem, the entire problem is removed, right? The entire problem gets removed. Very small problems in the supply chain or any process is the cause for majority of the troubles. So if I'm going to remove that, it is going to take care of the problem. The other thing is histogram. Okay, so for example, always it is expected that a normal distribution is got. It is always expected that a normal distribution is got, which is almost like a Bell-jar curve. Okay, so when you join all of this, you get a Bell-jar curve. And if suppose there is a variation, so usually the thing is that this will be the mean. Everything should be around the mean. Suppose the curve comes, it comes something very skewed like this or something like this. Okay, it means something is very wrong. It is not even going to the other side. So immediate corrective actions need to be taken. On the other hand, suppose it is highly skewed towards one side, again, you need to take corrective action. So when you're plotting these kind of graphs, a lot of information comes. For example, delay by supplier. Okay, delay by supplier. So you can immediately say that delay was it was no delay or very small amount of delay. So 60% of the deliveries were delayed by say 1 day. Okay, delayed by 1 day. So other things you can say, like the number of times the delivery was ahead of schedule. It is not going to be always the case. So the percentage will be different. So this is an example by which I can measure the effectiveness of the supply chain, right? This is all again basic statistics. I think you're doing statistics this semester, right? In maths.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So that means you should be able to make it out a little easily. Now another thing is scatter diagram. Okay, what is this scatter diagram? So everything, like how much was the test result of cube strength of concrete? It will all be like this. So you'll find that it is about a central line. Suppose some values are getting too much away from the point cloud, then you can try to understand why is this over here. So these are the places where quality issues are coming. So it can also be delivery of materials to site, or it is the quality of materials which was received at site. How many times rejects were there? Okay, you might have expected everything to fall on this line which you have got, but the line need not be always measured. Okay, I am hurrying up a little. So if I'm going a little fast, the best way to slow me down is ask questions. So if you see, this is another thing which you try to do to measure quality. Now, I am going to ask you to again do a small exercise. Define the risks which are there. Okay. We have already done this exercise. What are the risks associated in a supply chain? Anybody? So I remember people talking about natural disasters.
Material.
Yeah.
Yes.
Demand of material, sir.
Hey, can you just type it out? There's too much echo in your voice, please.
Miscommunication.
Miscommunication.
Demand of material.
Very good. Miscommunication. There can be unfavorably high demand for raw materials. Okay. So, for example, recently we had a shortage of sand. Okay. So, natural calamities. Yes, over here we made it. And this meant that the availability of materials for the construction industry was very badly affected. Again, there is something like
Transport system also.
yeah, transport disruption. See, for example, you might have got a very good yes, strikes, labor problems, strikes, labor problems. I think last time we talked about the Noku Kuli, which was in the newspaper around that time. Okay, Noku Kuli had caused issue. Now, one of the biggest things is also internet connectivity. Okay, we talked about the Maersk problem. Okay, what is gawking charges, Akash? Yeah, internet connections. Then yeah.
Policy change is
Okay. Gawking charges, such a great. Thank you. Meaning of Nokukuli. Internet connection, government policy. See, now when India and China have some issues, we don't allow Chinese products to come. Today, do you know there is a big fight between Australia and two other countries? Which are the other two countries?
France and US.
France and US, exactly. What are they fighting over?
Submarine deals, I think, sir.
Yeah, supply of submarine. So they changed from France. So France is now very upset. So there can be a failure of the logistics. Logistics is the movement, things which you use in the moving of one object from one place to another. Again, there can be inventory risk. Okay, there can be risk in the inventory which you use, and quality issues is a very important thing. In fact, for this reason only, we spent a lot on time on quality. Okay, so some of these have very high impact. Okay, some of them have very high impact, and some of them are very low impact. Okay, so I'm going to just ask you to classify these risks. Okay, classify these risks as medium. Actually, the first thing which you should put is high impact. Okay, high impact, medium impact, low or negligible impact. Okay, so you'll find that this, if you create a matrix like this, it's a interesting way to each of these things you can classify. And if suppose something happens, what are you going to do? So actually, we have now identified the sources of risk. Okay, these are sources of risk within a supply chain for construction industry. If you are going to go for some other industry, you may have to add those features also into that. First, you to identify the sources of risk, assess the impact of risk. That's what I'm asking you to do over here. Okay, so I am asking you to classify the risks based on the impact you feel they'll have on your business. Okay, so you classify these risks. Okay, and then you try to minimize the risk. So typically what we do is, what are the mitigation or what are the alternatives? Can I outsource this? Okay, can I outsource this? Labor is not available. Can I outsource this? If I'm going to hire my own labor, if suppose there is a strike or pandemic situation where government is asking me to pay, can I outsource the labor contract? Suppose I have to cut, bend and tie reinforcement. Can I outsource this to some other person? Okay, so change the sourcing mechanism. Is it a solution? Okay, so till now I've been sourcing from person A. Can I change the sourcing mechanism to some other means or some other way? This is another thing which we can do. Another very important thing is, can I adopt lean practices? This is something which people usually try to do. And although always I can't agree that lean practices are a solution, it could be thought of. Okay, distribution and logistics change. So what can I do to minimize this problem? So distribution or logistic change. If there is any other way also, you can always have a look at it. So now what happens? You identify the source, you assess the impact of the work, and then what alternative or what alternate exists. Okay. So and when should it be chosen? This is the framework. Okay. So maybe after Red Velvet, who's the team who's willing to take up the questions next week?
Sir, Six Sigma, sir.
Six Sigma, very good. Six Sigma, I'm going to request you to please make a flow chart along the lines which I've just mentioned. Okay, I just told you that you can make a framework, right? So what is the framework? We've got the risks identified. You can identify more risks and give us a brief presentation on how we can mitigate the same. Okay, so essentially what you will do, you will be getting all these risks, putting a table, putting a tabular column. Okay, so you can put the risks on top. Okay, put high risks first, then keep on going to low risks. So each of these risks will be in a column. Okay, then what is the solution? Okay, what is the solution or what is the mitigation strategy? What is the mitigation strategy? Mitigation strategy, you put it over here. Now what happens? You can say for this, the first mitigation strategy should be this. Second mitigation strategy should be this. Third and fourth mitigation strategies are like this. So you got strategies along the y-axis, and along the x-axis you have the risk. And then you can put a table where you say this is how it is going to be. So when anybody is there in the organization, just by looking at this chart, okay, I have a problem. What is the problem? I didn't get a material. So immediately I identify the risk and then see what are the recommended mitigation strategies the company offers. Are you clear, Indrajeevan?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We got it.
Indrajeevan's team, do you have any questions on this exercise? Right, no questions. I don't know whether to say it is good or bad. Okay, but in any case, please try to get this Excel sheet in place. And yeah, I'm just wondering if you guys have any questions or whether we can call it a day. So please go through this productivity. What is productivity? We saw what is quality. There's something called total quality and total quality management, but we will use those things as examples as we go along the way. Okay, so a lot of small bits of information which are relevant to a particular lecture, connected to a particular lecture, will be given, and we'll also try to relate it to some of the previously discussed topics. So this process will be expected also in your examination. Okay, so if you have any other questions apart from this also, you can ask. Otherwise, I request you to please enter your attendance and you can leave the room.
Sir.
Yes, Sajid.
So eventually I came to remember what homework you gave last class, sir. So you asked us to
Ah.
know